square one there. So I just kind of, I mean, even with GameStop's physical locations, you see to the point where when they tried to start getting into retro stuff, that there's a lot of nonsense with that because these people aren't trained to know what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was this one, I forget if I shared this with you, but there was this one thread on the subreddit where someone was like, dude, I keep getting this, I got the same trade like 3 times. It was like Chrono Trigger, Earthbound, and Pocky and Rocky 2. And they were like, it's the 3rd time I've seen this trade.
And there were 3 different people.
Yeah, and like, if you know anything about retro games, like, Pocky and Rocky 2 is a very rare game.
I've never even heard of it.
Right. It's by Natsumi for the Super Nintendo. It's kind of like a walker shooter kind of thing. It's very anime. Anyway, it's very rare. I've seen it once. Wow. In like 10, more than, maybe twice with the place I previously worked at. But we're talking almost 15 years. I've seen it twice. And this person's like, man, it's weird that I have 3 copies now. You know why? Because they're reproduction cartridges, you know.
But it's not like, hard to make either, so you can just sit there and do it all day and make a buttload of money.
Yeah, and they give like, they actually unfortunately they give they give a very low amount for that game. Unfortunately, it's like $50-$60 cash because the game's like a $250-$300 game, so that's kind of lame. But I also feel like maybe part of that is like, we're buying a bunch of reproduction cartridges. My major point is like, even when GameStop themselves tries to get out of their comfort zone and be like, we're dealing with retro stuff now, all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, you do not know what you're looking for. You do not know how to spot these fakes. You do not know like why all these PS1 games that are like extremely scratched up, like no one's gonna want to pay $150 for Misadventures of Tron Bond when it's a disc only, super scratched up kind of thing. Even if you send it out to get you know, whatever, people aren't going to refurbished in Grapevine, Texas. There's still, you know, you have that sitting in there, or like, you know, someone buys it online and it's $150 and you send them just the disc. People are going to be mad. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and that's them, they're GameStop. They know about games, still trying to get into something, and
well, it's that's one of the things that I've had a problem with. Not to get too off topic, it's one of the things I've had a problem with since I started there back in 2008-7. It's like you don't get the time to learn this kind of crap. I used to have to tell all these new employees not to put the freaking online passes in with the new games for Xbox 360 when they were gutting them, because then I got a free copy of Civilization 5 from GameStop one time because some idiot put the Game Pass in the PC version. Nice. It's like, they don't have the time or the resources or the pay to do that. Yeah. So why they would get involved with something so involved as that makes absolutely no sense to me.
I was going to say, we talked about this before. Retro is super niche for the most part, and like Spencer was saying, if you don't know what you're looking for, I think the example you brought up was either Earthbound or like Mega Man X3.
Yep.
The different conditions and like the pins and the card itself. It's just, there's, like, if you don't know it already and nobody's going to show you, you're never going to know.
Yeah, and I can't imagine District, with all the stuff that they're doing, that district managers will be like, here's all you tell a Super Nintendo cartridge is like real. Like, come on, dude. And, you know, like, that's one of the things, like, say, like, we once in a while, we get, like, a repro in, but, like, I'll know it's a repro, and I'll buy, I did this for a Mario 64. I was like, hey, this is a repo, but can I still buy it from you because I want to show my guys? And I would, like, show them, like, this is how you you know, kind of thing. But, like, they don't even know already. You're dealing with people, like, retro collectors are very niche and very specific and very picky and willing to, like, drop whatever money for most parts, but, like, they want something good. And like Brian said, you're getting into this stuff where you're like, all right, listen, it's only you. Now, picture this. It's a Friday. Animal Crossing came out. I guarantee it's going to be like this. You have one person working from open until, 3 p.m.
Yep.
Right? Then you'll have someone come in where you can stay till 4, so you have 1 hour where you're both together, and then you have a closer just working by themselves. So you have Animal Crossing, you have all that stuff, you have the other new games, but at the same time, I'm going to walk in with some like fake copies of Pocky and Rocky 2, and you're just going to look at it and be like, whoa, wow, that game's worth a lot. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have time to be like, well, let me pop this open. Let me compare it to my other stuff in store. They don't usually have that
They're
stuff
also
in
not
store.
paid enough to give a crap about
it
either.
Absolutely. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And they've been caught selling fakes, too. That's the worst part. Because they'll take them in, inventory them, and immediately send them out.
They had issues with Pokemon doing that.
I think it was like blue, red, and yellow.
And some of those are pretty actually close to the originals, where like if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, And you know what? They act very similarly as well as far as the games are concerned. So it's like I said, it's just one of those things. Like Brian said, you're like, you add all this stuff for them to do, and like my brain hurts for them, you know.
Yeah.
And again, that's another reason, just for all this stuff, that like for all the mom and pop stores across the country, you don't want to see them go away, because them doing stuff like this, them, you know, having all these like charging the same price for Crash Bandicoot 1, like $40 for the PS1 for this has happened multiple times, by the way, where I think that game specifically, I've had 2 or 3 customers be like, I bought this online, and they sent it like this. And like it was like not even in a CD jewel case. Like it was just in like one of those yellow sleeves.
Oh, the yellow sleeve.
It's like it's like $40, right? But then like I look at the disc and I'm like, oh my, you got to be kidding me! Like they literally sent it to you like dead to rights. That game, Crash 1, and Crash 1 was a game that was played a lot. When we see it come in, it, you know, whatever. So like I have to buff this disc for this poor person who paid more than it would be like in a retro store for something that's like a hockey puck, and it's just like. That's, again, makes all the small places look better, because it's just like, wow, I bought this online. I'm never doing that again. Like, I would never buy a collectible old game from them, because it always says on the website, it says like, could be disc only kind of thing. So like, imagine spending like, you know, $100 on some retro GameCube game that's expensive, and then it just comes just like in the little CD sleeve, you know, probably just bouncing around in the envelope and whatever. And you're just like,
probably some poor GA on a Friday at 6 o'clock got the trade and was like, I don't think I can take this, but I'll defect it because I don't feel like fighting with this guy over it. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that would be another thing is.
Although I don't know if you know that GAs don't do trade like this. I don't want to get too off topic, but GAs don't do trades anymore. That's correct.
I mean, it makes sense, but
we couldn't do cash trades.
Okay, so you couldn't.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
You think that makes sense? I think.
Well, the cash trades part of it does.
I think that's to the point of like why
I was the mule. I was like, they were like, yeah, do these trades real quick for me. Like unless it like involved something expensive like a system, I was just like, yep.
Here's my thing like with that. Taking retro stuff and like defecting it, I think that would end up hurting the market as well, because niche stuff would become even more niche and harder to find
because they don't know what they have.
Yeah, and if they defect it out, like now it's just destroyed, limiting like. Yep. Oh my god, that would be awful. Prices are.
Well, I mean, ridiculous. that's another thing that they did for years and years. Is every time a Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, DS, 3DS game comes in, they'll trash the cases, and that's a whole nother thing. But that's also to the point of like. You're taking something where like someone's like, hey, I have this, because I guarantee they take Pokemon like Blue, for instance, right? But like if you took it into them, it's just in the system as Pokemon Blue, whatever they pay. It's not like in like, you know, if it's boxed and beautiful and amazing, it's going to be the same price. And I assume an employee, if that happened, an employee would just be like, yoink to the box. I'm guessing, right? Right, but technically they're just supposed to be like, just toss the box. Yep. We just want the game. Like the thing that's worth more than the game is like, just toss it. It's fine. You know, I mean, you could have an Earthbound that is literally complete, like $1,000 game, whatever it is, like complete with everything, and they'd be like, great, we can give you $60, and we're just going to toss the rest of the stuff. Obviously, they won't, but that's essentially what you're supposed to do there. And again, it's like don't get into this specialty stuff unless you're, you know, dedicated to it. Like there's new stuff about retro stuff, and like I've lived it my whole life, and there's still new stuff I learn where I'm like, really? Like someone will be like, yo, do you have this specific model of the Gen 1? Yeah, look on the bottom. It has this specific like writing, which means it's the one with the best HD graphics. That's a thing, by the way. Really? Like if you flip it upside down, a Genesis Model 1, if you see the like chips inside of it, like if you start seeing the green from it, like through the vents, that means it's like the best version. Really? I never knew that in my life until a couple years ago. But like imagine like someone like, hey, I know you have Genesis. Do you have the HD chip one or whatever it is? Like the.
You get 3 of them. We just threw them out.
Yeah.
Their field destroyed, my friend.
so again, please, don't go away, GS in general, because you're gonna make everyone's life like a lot harder. And don't, as I mentioned to the guys before, I don't think I mentioned this on stream. Who's the punching bag then? You know, who ends up being the punching bag? Hopefully not the small stores at that point. Right. Because it's really nice to have the big doofus in the background. So if you happen to make a small mistake, which everyone makes mistakes, it's okay because that big doofus is standing over there, eating paste or whatever. You're like, this isn't as bad. So one of the things that GameStop is trying to get back on the right track, and this is where we're gonna finish off here today, is some of these new types of stores. Finch, I've talked a lot here today. You mentioned some of these new stores that they're trying. Do you want to go into these a little bit?
Yeah. So we have the Gamer Lounge setup store that I've seen prototype builds for. They actually look like fairly nice.
Have we all seen these?
Yeah.
Have you seen them, Brian? Like the Gamer Lounge kind of ones?
Nope. They're
wow, really?
Yeah, they're actually legit kind of cool. I don't know what the pricing would be or how it would work or how you would keep systems from being destroyed
Or stolen.
Yeah. They had like a row of monitors and they had like a Switch and a PS4 like hooked up to them and everything.
They literally even have like 2 TVs for like Mario Kart 64 and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
it
It's
was
actually not bad looking. Essentially, long story short, they take a store cluttered with stuff, get rid of 50% of the stuff, and then put like rigs for playing games.
Yeah.
Is essentially what it comes down to.
literally, the GameStop that I first started working at in Kentucky, they did that, but they weren't cleared by anyone to do that. They set up a bunch of consoles. Like they literally if I was like, I don't know, fucking, I was like I was in middle school or a freshman in high school at that point. But I'd come in and I'd be unsure if I wanted to play a game, so they'd be like, all right, pop it in and try it real quick. And it was great. They all got fired.
I was gonna say, like, with how anal they are about everything.
Yeah.
Like, even when we worked there, they were like, here, what do they call them? The planograms?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, here's the planogram. You better damn have this poster right the hell where we said it.
It's not
Or
there.
there's going to be
my
crap. So
God.
I can imagine someone being like,
Yeah.
hey, well, what if we just didn't have these 3 huge sections? Like, imagine that.
Yeah.
You get in trouble. You get in trouble if the stickers are on like the wrong way on the
100%.
games.
Yeah.
But so you've been to similar types of setups, like smaller stores, not GameStops,
Yeah.
obviously. Have you ever been to that one that Tyler goes to? I forget what it's. Well, we don't want to mention names, but
Yeah.
there's one about an hour away that he goes to play Smash and everything.
Out in Phoenixville?
I think so.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
So it seems like it's a very similar setup to that, and
Yeah.
it seems like it's more like almost pay for your time kind of thing.
Yeah, and we may actually potentially end up getting one here in Lancaster soon.
I've heard.
I
Yes.
can't really say anything
Yeah.
about it, but
It
you obviously know.
could happen. It could
Yes.
happen.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. Pay like $20 for like however long, say like an hour or two. You get to play whatever games. Say they actually have like legit good internet and like because a lot of people don't have say the money to have every system.
Yeah.
Or like say a PC, but they want to try out these games.
Or even an area like say it's Smash Brothers,
yeah.
or even an area where it's like I live with my parents or 3 roommates or whatever. I
Yeah.
can't have everyone over and we can be like whatever, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
It's good for like literally just hanging with your
Yeah.
friends and lounging, and it's super nice.
Brian, because I know you're more of the business side of things, that seems to me like it's a little more reasonable where it's like, to go back to CIB real quick, we like do that, but we like don't make any money on it. And I know it seems like a really like weird thing, but the way we look at it is like have fun things for customers and they will want to be there.
Right.
And then wanting to be there will do, other stuff. They'll tell people whatever. They have these machines and whatever. I get told at least once a month that it's like, dude, you could make a killing on these arcade machines. And I'm like, but I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like that's, that's one of the things I'm like that. If that ever changes, I'm not in charge of the store anymore. Because I'm sure if I like sold it off, the first thing the person would do is like, yeah, 50 cents a piece on these. Yeah, let's do it.
That's like my biggest selling point when I tell people about the store. I'm like, yo, free arcade machines and comic books to like check out. Like,
but again, we're specialized in that because it's only a small part of stuff, and it's just like it's like the cherry on top kind of thing.
That's part of the reason why back in the day GameStop was like so awesome to go to, was that you had like reasons to go in there and hang out. It
Those
wasn't
kiosks were really cool.
yeah,
They were.
like when they had like the demo unit in there where like you could play like every
all the
month they
games
had
on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like that was the reason to go there. It brought like GameStop's whole business plan when I started there up until like not soon before, but before I left, was like, okay, We want you to come here when you're done with the game. We want you to come here and buy the game. We want you to come here and try the game if you're not sure about it and buy it used. Like, it was all about bringing people back into the store. So, like, an idea like that where you're bringing people in to play games and hang out, whether you're making them pay for it or not, they're probably not going to make a lot of money on someone paying $20 for an hour to play a video game. Let's be real, that's not that much. But
that was one of the coolest things that Blockbuster themselves had.
Exactly.
Like the Pokemon Center thing.
That is true.
But they'll make a lot of money off food. Like, they'll make a lot of money off of, drinks. They'll make a lot of money off of
party specials.
Party
It's
specials.
while you're here thing.
And
Plus, you get people who will then come back because of the good experience.
And they
It's a
still
positive
they still have
association.
stuff to buy. I mean, even the place that you're talking about has like stuff to buy there as well. You know.
Well, that's where the other two stores come in now for them too, because they have the potential retro side.
Which, as we just mentioned, unless you're willing to have like a specialty guy come in, like I'm talking literally like a retro game store owner or something, I'm not interested. I don't got the time. Please don't send me. I'm not sending a cover letter. But like literally, unless you have someone like that, I'm very worried about that.
Yeah.
You got to get some very specific people there. You know
That know what they're talking about.
I haven't heard. I heard, oh goodness, like every time they have an idea nowadays, I like kind of laugh it off when they're like, remember they were 3-4 years ago, they were like, every GameStop's going to have a lot of retro. And I was like, oh, dang. And then like nothing really came
It was
to
online
fruition.
only.
It was like online only. And I'm like, okay. And it's like, well, they take trades. I was like, oh, dang. But it's like, well, only very specific games. You know what I mean?
They're kind of like that buddy who just like spitballs ideas when he's drunk. Like, hey guys, we're just going to do this and we're never going to take it off the ground, but it was a solid idea, right?
Remember that idea? It was a $1 million idea.
I don't know anybody like that.
Right? Do we want to talk about, like, the biggest thing that happened in the last, like, what is it, 48 hours?
So real quick, I do want to finish on that. Have you heard the retro stores? This is the first I've like really heard of that. Like, where in general is this like a rumor or something you're hearing from?
So my source,
and we will get to Reggie, by the way. We will. That's up next. That's up next.
Talk about that. Brian and I both have a source within one of the stores. I believe it's actually closing now.
I don't know who you're talking about, but I'm sure I would. So yeah.
That's the part about being completely anonymous stuff. It's like, we have but they probably do.
Everywhere.
Because when we first started talking about it, I kind of hit up our contact and was like, hey, can you give me kind of what's like going on the inside? I know you can't say like anything too major. And that's where I got the 3 stores like split from. If it's actually going to pan out, I have no idea.
But it is something that they're like, at the very least at the corporate level, like saying, what's the third one, by the way?
It's just like a standard GS, but smaller and like still the collectibles and like current games.
So standard, but like more like streamlined, I guess, kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah, almost. I guess like a Walmart selection.
So. My major thing about all 3 of those is they sound nice, but like, let's be real. If you can't do one thing well,
how are you gonna do 3?
What you gonna do 3, son? You know,
how is that cost effective to just split up all the things you do in one store?
And it seems weird too, especially again, a lot of areas of the country where it's like more barren. You know, like are these retro stores only going to be in cities? Like, are they going to be like, hey, a retro store in Omaha, Nebraska for some reason, you know, kind of thing. But then the next closest GameStop is like an hour away. Like, how do you do that?
It's probably what they're going to do is they're going to take those stupid stores like Park City where there's 2 stores in one place and they put a retro store next to it.
Actually, that's not a bad plan though because they're so close together.
Well, that's exactly the first GameStop I ever worked at was the exact same situation. It was a big freaking shopping center. There was a Target. They had a place called Myers, which was basically like Walmart in the South.
Yeah, Myers was sweet.
And they had one GameStop. Then you had a GNC. You had a Subway. You had like a mattress warehouse, and then you had another GameStop, literally like just right down the street from each other. Yeah, and that's where I could see them doing that rather than closing those stores. They would just make one of them a retro place.
I feel like if they made one just a standard GameStop store and the other one like one of the lounge, like For that, it would be lounge/retro for me. It's like, we'll just go down the street. They have the lounge and then they have the retro games. That would actually work okay at that point.
Yeah, because I think like trying to bounce around between like, oh, I want to go to GameStop, but I also like want to check out this stuff as well. But then I also have to go here to do this thing. Like nobody wants to do that.
So I forget which editorial it was, but someone did a look at one of these like lounge stores, and they were like it wasn't like written by GameStop, it was written by like Polygon or whatever, and they were like very positive about it. They were like, the whole time I was there was lots of people playing. It was like a really relaxed environment. So like there is the possibility, like I remember when reading it, I was like, oh, here's another joke, and the guy was like, actually, it like seemed pretty cool, but like obviously to make that happen across the country, even if there's only 100 of these across the country, that's a thing. My major point about, before we get to Reggie, about switching between these three things, especially for like a lounge type store, or the place that you go out in about Phoenixville, is like to go to a place like that, to spend a lot of time in a place. You know, something, not the DMV where you're like forced to, but a place where you want to, is like, it's a cool, it's got to be a cool place.
Yeah.
And like, my thing is like, is GameStop's name so tarnished that if you like told your friends like, what are you doing today? I'm going to go hang out at GameStop. They'd be like, kind of whack, bro. You know what I mean?
I'd be like, you enjoy yourself, buddy.
Yeah,
go to the bar.
And they would have to be like, no. They're like, okay, listen, they changed around. It's this lounge thing. And you have to like explain to yourself, you know, even if it wasn't going to like a bar instead, it'd be like, I'm just gonna go to this local place that's like fun to hang out or whatever. I worry about like how. I mean, I would say that if someone was like, "What'd you do all day?" "Oh, I hung out at GameStop," I'd be like, "What's your problem?
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's wrong with you?" Like, it just doesn't. But then they'd have to be like, "No, listen," you know. And they'd have to like prove it. They'd have to have like a video of people playing. Like, no, listen. Okay, I'm not crazy. I spent all day there, but it was really fun. And here are the laundry list of reasons. And you'd still be like.
At 2:34, you'll see that they didn't ask.
in my head, I'm just picturing that classic GameStop customer who hangs out there for like 6 hours and just does nothing. Yeah.
What's the difference between FIFA 11 and 12?
Dude, more like just standing there, and you're like
looking at the same games they looked at last week when they were there for the last 4 hours.
And you're like,
can you please get out?
I don't have any more games to talk to you about, man. I'm sorry.
What phone do you have?
I'm really at the very least, dude. If I was still there and like I had someone just hanging out, I'd be like, listen, I will answer any questions you have. I will talk to you about whatever. Just tell me what type of phone you have, or this conversation is over, my friend. Sometimes we don't get it as bad as that because everyone knows that, like, especially in like malls, like that, like dude that's just like there the whole time. We don't get that a lot at the store. My only one is like the people who are just like answering or asking questions is like their job, and like they're like just going for that promotion, you know, and they're just like like I get to the point where once like 15 questions, I want to be like, all right. That was 15 questions, my friend. It is 50 cents a question after. Like, really? 50 cents? All right, here we go. 50 cents. Oh, how can you...
No, that's how you make up the arcade machines.
How can you do that? That's another 50 cents, my friend. Anything with a question mark at this point.
And $45 there. I want to continue this conversation.
I have a lot of patience, but once it gets to like 15, 20 questions, my one pet peeve, and don't start doing this because it'll actually make me mad. I guess I have many pet peeves, but the one that's more... The one more than anything else is like if I go to Finch and I'm like asking about something like, how much is that PS4? And just answer. Well, yeah, but how much of that Xbox One? I will we are gonna go outside, my friend.
I got paid too. I was all set to answer.
Yeah, but like literally, you know what I'm talking about? It's like you know, how much is that PS4? Start answering.
$250. Hey. Can I help
you know, just like that, you know what I mean? Like, just not paying attention at all. Like, all you out there, don't do that. Don't do that to anyone. Don't do that to like a server. Don't do that to anyone. Don't do that to, you know, I don't care. But like, yeah, that's again, once you get to like 15 questions and it's like, all right. Now, if it's something where it's like, listen, I'm really between like a PS4 and a Switch, there's going to be a lot of questions. But sometimes it's like, how much is that? How much is that? We have, if you've ever been in the store, by the way, we have like all the systems out there, and all of them are neatly priced. And it's the first thing, it's like the thing on the bottom of it where it says how much price. It's like, how much is that PS4? It's like, oh yeah, it's $230, as you can see on there.
That's priced?
Yeah, and then it'll be like, well, how much is that 64? And I'll be like, $70, as you can see right there. You know?
Why do you just assume they can read?
I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, check my privilege. Oh, that's it. But I thought at least if they're like numbers, like it's like you can. I thought everyone could read the numbers, but I guess.
Way to assume.
Yeah, you make a lot of assumptions.
So don't do that, please. You'll actually make me mad, and I'll just be a sad panda, and I'll just stand there and I'll start typing to this group chat and being like,
Yeah.
because I can't. Well, I mean, I could yell at you, but I don't want to, so I'll just be like. Let's talk about GameStop's future. We do this every time. So I know you're waiting for it, but I really did want to hit that for. Go ahead. Yeah. Go do your thing.
So
I'll sit back at this
48
point.
hours ago, I believe, maybe even less, the man himself, the legend, Reggie Fils-Aimé from Nintendo.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, first and foremost, Reggie, my dude. What are you doing, man? For those that don't know, Reggie Fils-Aimé was the head of Nintendo America for, I believe, a very long time.
Yeah,
he was quite the meme as well.
He was a very memeable. He was at least for the Wii through the Switch.
Yeah, but Reggie had that likability behind him where people never really dissed him. We were all for it. We all embraced his positivity. He was about the culture. He genuinely loved what he did,
and he always delivered.
Yes, Reggie never came out and said something. We were like, I don't know, Reggie. We trusted him. Now, for him to come into GameStop is so jarring, I guess, because
you can't trust GameStop right now.
Yeah, so I don't want distrust placed onto somebody so great, and I don't want GameStop to bank on that reliability. But I kind of think they were like, listen, man, we will give you any amount of money.
I think that's what it was. It was the fact that he was done. He was ready to just do something completely different, and this was the challenge that he knew that he could step up.
Challenge is the key word. So what if he just likes challenges? You know, my dream job in the world would be almost a Gordon Ramsay kind of thing, where I go to similar stores of what I run, like game stores, and be like, wow, this is crappy, but I see the potential. Let's make it good. I love that stuff. I love fixing those problems. So maybe would be him.
Yeah.
Listen, what's that?
Hell's Games.
Hell's Games. No, Game Store Nightmares.
Oh,
Game Store Nightmares.
I
would totally do that, by the way. Give my team 48 hours, and we'll get everything.
Don't worry, we have a planogram. We'll stick to it.
You see what I did right here is I put Glade scent releasers into the wall. This is going to be very key for every day.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very, very smart move by GameStop. I'm just very, very worried about what it's going to do to
the
Reggie.
one thing it instantly does is it gives a little bit more hope.
Yes.
Right? Because he's synonymous with just positivity.
Yeah.
Even when the Wii U was being the Wii U and not being great or whatever, no one was giving Reggie crap or anything like that. And from my side of things, on the game store side of things, Nintendo can be a big old jerk sometimes. And still, there are times where you're never oh, Reggie, oh, Nintendo. It's still Nintendo has just that, whatever.
Yeah. We put up with it.
Yeah, you put up with it. And even on the GameStop subreddit, everyone, there were still the detractors, but most people were I'm really excited to see what happens, you know?
Yeah, that was my big thing. I am legitimately excited to see what happens with it, because Reggie took Nintendo and helped keep Nintendo of America, at least, driving forward and staying focused on their values. Family friendly for the most part. For the customer, for the people. Once again, for the most part, you can only do so much. It's exciting and, like you said, very, very hopeful.
I think he just looked at it when he was I'm about to retire anyway, and the Switch is just the Switch prints money. It just does. Literally, I could order all the big titles in every single week: Mario Kart, New Super Mario Bros., Smash, Luigi's Mansion, and we would sell it every single week. I can't keep on top of it. It's impossible. So he probably is well, this is obviously doing super great, and I was going to retire in a couple years anyway. So maybe he's if I can turn around GameStop or be part of it, that's really like it's like a legacy thing where it's like, dude, this is the guy who turned around GameStop. You know what I mean? It's like
saved the entire company from itself.
It's either going to be a massive letdown, which that's what I'm extremely scared of, or it's going to be a massive overhaul of GameStop.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think anyone would blame him because it's already
It's either going to tamper his legacy, which that's what I'm really scared of.
I don't think it will, though.
It was so bad that even Reggie couldn't do it.
But here's the thing: he's not joining the Dallas Cowboys right after they won all those Super Bowls. He's Robert Kraft. He's buying the Patriots when they literally went.
Of course.
Right? But the thing, when Robert Kraft bought them, they were terrible. So no one was going to give him crap for anything.
Yeah.
And then they happened to turn around, and he's like a legend and like a god around that area. So like, if they would have been bad for 20 years, no one would have been like, but they still would have went. You know what I mean? So there's like, I think it's a low risk thing for him, where it's just like that no one is going to blame him at all.
Yeah, like I don't think he'll lose too much clout or respect over it because obviously he's trying to save a burning ship.
Yeah.
But if he does it, congrats, well done.
Well, not only just into the Reggie stuff, but I'm going to ask all three of you and just shout it out if you have them. And we kind of mentioned this before, right now, March 2020, what are you doing if you're GameStop? And the answer isn't just close. You know, what are you doing to right the ship now, today?
Rebranding.
I think that's a great one. I do. I think GameStop as a word, like I mentioned before, is a swear word.
Get as far away as
just call it something different. Just call it something.
What did you call it earlier when we were talking?
Nintendo Land or
Nintendo
World?
We're gonna change all the GameStops
Bring it back to
Nintendo
Funko
Worlds.
Land.
Yeah. Dude, honestly,
Funko Land
they probably still like own that.
Yeah.
And just
did they buy the EB Games name?
They did.
Yeah.
There's an option.
Yeah, I mean that's like I know it's such a small thing, but all of a sudden, like if it's like all GameStops are Funko Lands, like at the very least in your mind, you're like, I remember the good times. You know?
It sends a message too.
Yep,
it sends
that
a
like
message.
we're changed. So
and get away from the black and red as well. Don't just change the name. Just get rid of the black and red.
Just in general, everything they can do to step far away from where they are right now would be a great thing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Like, even if they kept all the exact same practices and everything, if you changed the name to literally anything else, that would be a massive step.
At the very least, it would give you like a fresh start until it like sinks again. Obviously, you have to like change as well. Yeah. But even if you rebrand, I think that's a fantastic one.
It would show that they are serious about like legitimately changing for the better.
Yep.
And I honestly I kind of think that's what Reggie's going to try and do. Is like rebrand it, change the colors. Because red and black are like war colors, which
you do go to war when you go there.
Yeah,
you go to war.
Some of the biggest companies that have failed, their logos and their brands were red and black.
Oh wow, I never really thought about that.
They are negative colors. So.
Huh.
Yeah.
But yeah, just rebrand. I mean, that's wonderful. Does anyone have
a psychological thing?
I mean, my thing is actually relatively simple. I mean, yeah, I think rebranding would be a good thing, but like, you need to go back to your roots, like. The late 2000s, the early 2010s, like, yeah, back at that time, you know, it made sense to upsell as much as you could to anybody who came in. It made sense to try and get them to buy that extra controller or that extra hard drive or that GPG because then you could show your stockholders, look at how many products they buy at this time. But, like, what brought people in and what's going to bring them back is to go back to the whole, like, catering to them, making it somewhere where they want to come back. It's not like they need to come back. Like, people will come back if you give them a good experience. And I think they need to focus on that.
Go back to being customer.
Because, well, that's the thing about 2020 now, is like, I can go online and get whatever the heck I want from Amazon.
Thank you.
From Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, whatever. I don't have to talk to a freaking soul.
Yeah.
Like, so I have no incentive to go into that store aside from the experience.
Yeah,
like,
if it's a cool experience.
On top of that, like, with all the digital and everything as well, like your ultimate selling point as a store like that is
experience.
Yeah. And that's what people need to get back to. I feel like that got lost. Like, you don't go to GameStop to buy a car, so you're not going in there to like, you don't like. Obviously, when you go buy a car, it makes sense for them to be like, oh yeah, get Gap insurance, get this warranty, all that stuff, because you only buy a car once every how many years?
Right.
Like GameStop, you could go into a GameStop 2 or 3 times a month. Like, it's not like you walking out that door is a lost opportunity if they sell to you the fact that you're going in there for an experience. And that's where the small stores have GameStop. That's why the people come in and complain about GameStop to those people. It's in 2020, the best way to bring back customers and get them to come back in is not to make them feel like they need to come in and see you for everything. They should want to.
Yep.
People still like brick and mortar. Like,
Yeah.
I know that
It's for the experience.
I know that there's like a lot of people out there that are like, no, but like people want to do stuff.
Yes.
People want to do stuff, and if it was fun, that's another amazing point there, where it's like just make it. And I look at it this way: they kind of have the same idea as what you're saying, but they're going to great lengths to do it. They're like, all right, so people need a good experience, so let's make it this crazy game lounge where everything. Well, it's like you don't even need to do that, really. Like you can just be like, hey, like just come out with a thing, and be like, it's called Funko Land again, and if you want to reserve stuff, that's great, and if you want to sign up for the card, that's great. But you, I thought you were.
No, I was just looking.
But you don't. But you don't. I was like,
I was looking at
I thought my kids were like walking down. They should be asleep. But like, it's a great point because they're like, oh well, it's got to be a bad experience, so let's go crazy over the top. It's like, no, just make it where your employees can be good people and people want to go see them. That's it.
That's
right.
That's the thing. Like you can do a lot of like you can make a lot of money by just letting people know what you do. It's not even like you don't need to tackle a guy and say what kind of phone do you have. You just say during your conversation they come in to buy COD. That's all they're there for. You talk to them a little bit about games that are coming up that they might want to reserve. Yep. You don't need to try and push them into reserving it. You can just tell them why it would be worth reserving. And none of that is pushy. And but then like when it comes to the cell phone thing, you say something along the lines of, "Oh, by the way, just so you know, if you decide you want to get rid of your phone, we buy phones now." None of that is pushy. I would be totally cool with that whole conversation as a customer, and then that'll probably be the first thing I think of when I go buy a new phone. If I don't end up doing anything with mine, I'll go take it into that guy and go buy the next game I want. The thing about sales, and it makes sense from like from over the last 2 decades is like. Sales is always like, oh, they're in front of you right now. You need to make the sale now. But nowadays, the sales climate is not like that because you can literally get anything from almost anywhere online. Yep. So if you want to make that money, you want to give them a reason to bring you their business. That's where I'm at. Rebrand it and sell yourself as a company.
I've got one super big suggestion for GameStop. It kind of piggybacks off of Brian. GameStop. If you see this, if you're listening, do me the biggest solid. Start treating your employees like actual people. Pay them livable wages, and stop treating them like trash. Thank you.
And you know what? Like that's just all part of it as well. Because if they started doing that,
I'd still work there.
And that's I think we talked about it last time. Like they have
every single time
an unlimited,
literally every. It all starts with we all have better jobs and get paid more.
Yeah,
they have an unlimited supply of people that want to work there because why? Because it's video games. Video games are fun.
Because it's GameStop,
right? And if they just treated them, they don't have to be like Costco and be like. Everyone makes $20 an hour or whatever, right? Like you can just be like meet in the middle and just be like, all right, you know what? We have you as the store manager because we believe in you. You've had this experience with us or this experience somewhere else. Go to town. I'll be back in a week. I'll check in every couple of days and we'll see what's up. If something doesn't work, let's fix it. But they're not. Yeah. They're even for the store man. I can't imagine being a store manager because it's just like, well, I can't do anything. Like clearly they think I'm a child, right? Like,
oh yeah, it's literally even as ASM. It was every moment of every day. Like you had to be checking emails if one came through. If like corporate sent something down to you, you had to do it immediately. Like you said, there's no breathing room in the company. Yeah. It was basically a stranglehold on you.
And all of it, and the reason why I think, unless Reggie really changes stuff in the corporate thing, the reason I think that they are on the continued downturn is everything they do, everything is a quick buck. Kind of thing. There's nothing for the future. It's like even the phone thing we talked about. It's like, well, we can buy these phones and we can flip them in China and we can make money and show our stockholders. So probably so we can all sell our stocks when they go higher. You know what I mean? Like get it up to $10, $15 and then we'll just sell ours out and then we're done. You know, kind of thing. There's nothing they're doing besides potentially the lounge stores where they're like looking for the future. They're just like, what can we do right now to make literally $1 now? Like those gameplay guarantees where they're like, hey, we'll replace this game. That is quite literally $1, $1 to $3, you know? And it's like, what can we do to make $1 now instead of being like, it's a really fun experience. Like, I mention it every time, and I'm sorry. I know it's a broken record, but like, brick and mortar still exists. People still like it. People still like doing stuff. Like, people for some reason think that like everyone of our age group just wants to like sit at home 24/7 and just like order whatever online and not care. Like, people like to do stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Give a reason to do it.
Yeah.
You know, give a reason for people to go in. Like, people still shop there enough. Like, and like with all this garbage going on because they like the employees there. So just take the reins off, you know, and just be like, just go, you know. And I'm sure, oh my God, when I worked there, and Brian, who was on part 2 or 3, and like there was still some like, hey, you know, maybe you should do this, whatever. But like, it was just like, do your thing, and we did, and it was super fun, and it was just like, you know, you do it that way, then everyone comes together too, and everyone will do it not only for Gamestop, but for each other. And
glory days.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
That's how it was when Brian came to my store. I was like, all right, man, this is how stuff goes here.
Yeah, that's literally, that was like, when the glory days of my GameStop days where I'd go in, I'd know what I needed to do, and they'd be like, you need to get this, this, and this done by the end of the day. That's all that happened. Yep. Like, once that was done, it was just a matter of dealing with whoever walked in. It was super easy. I was very happy with the shit amount of money I was making. Sorry for the cursing, but
and in less than a year when I was there, that all changed.
Yep.
That was insane.
It was really around that 2011, 2012.
And I'm going to continue to say it. It's fun working at GameStop, but it is hell working for GameStop.
Yeah.
Because
that
build
is probably
camaraderie.
the best way to put it.
You build camaraderie with the people you work with, because then that's what makes the environment. Because you feed off of each other's energy.
Because you're stuck with that person for how long? At
a crap wage, and you're both getting paid crap.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, instead
So you bond.
Instead of like working for each other totally, they have it to the point where it's like work for each other because of like the fear of like corporate and stuff like
survival.
that. And instead of doing that, just be like, here you go. You know, guess like, yeah, people will get fired once in a while if they like steal or whatever, but it's like, don't just constant nonsense where it's like, hey, get this, you know. Hell, if they're making $100,000 doing that, you'd be like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
But you know, you make whatever. It's like, get this. By the way, you're super replaceable.
Yep.
We mentioned that last time. They'll just constantly tell them like, you're replaceable.
Your entire shift was $34 after taxes.
Yeah.
That's also true. So I agree. I think the big ones we hit were rebrand. I think that's huge. I like the idea of Funko Land. They could even go for like Game. It's called Game in Europe.
Yep.
They could just call it Game. Like if they don't want to get more stuff printed, if they want to be super, it's called Game.
Yeah.
I always thought that was weird, but at least it's like Game, and you know it's got Game.
Some good stuff off of like the dropping the stop stuff. Like we'll stop at nothing.
Whatever. Yeah.
Something super cheesy. You know Reggie would do that.
Come Game.
Yeah.
Rebrand, bring it back to its roots. I literally feel like if like all of a sudden it was like, hey, did you hear that GameStops are like they don't push you for anything? People would start going again.
Yep.
It's not always about bottom dollar, because if it was, I would only shop at like Walmart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I hate it, so I go to other places.
That's the thing about this Walmart. Nobody goes there unless they have to.
Yeah. Well, it's like I go to Giant once in a while, even though it's more expensive, because like it's a great experience. Like you're not like, wow, this sucks. You know what I mean?
I'll myself.
I'll pay a little more to be like, I don't hate myself. You know what I mean?
That's why people shop at Target.
Yeah. It's the same thing for that, and it's like, you know what? Like, Brian is absolutely correct on this. It's like you can buy anything anywhere. Give people a reason to come in. Is CIB the cheapest option for everything all the time? No. Not at all. There are times where like GameStop will have like, or Walmart or Amazon will have this crazy deal where I'm like, well, I sure as hell can't do that. But people, but people still come in because it's like hopefully a fun experience. It's like a place you want to go. Like people like to do stuff. Just give them something to do, man.
Yeah.
So Brian, real quick, you mentioned earlier that you had some stories you wanted to share. Do you still have those on the mind, or was that?
Not really. I mean, it doesn't really. It was just complaining about.
That's good. Because that was. I feel like that was part one, whereas we just shared all the stories.
No, yeah. I mean, that's a story for another day if we ever want to get into our
maybe we'll hit this back in like 2021 or maybe in the holidays where either it's
post Reggie era.
Either it's dead. Yeah, the post Reggie. Either it's dead or it's like, hey, they kind of turned it around.
Post-mortem of GameStop.
Again, this is probably one of the only YouTube videos you're going to find where people are actually like what can we do? You know, we want it to stay around, even though it sounds like we really, shouldn't. Like, if you look at it like subjectively, you're like, it shouldn't be around, but we want it to be around. So we're rooting for you, Reggie.
Yeah, Reggie, you have my heart and my faith. I want to believe, man. Please do good.
I just hope it's not like just a title. Just like a title, kind of thing.
Changes the name and leaves.
Hey, and that's baller as heck. That's like just drop the mic. You say like one thing, call it Funko Land, and then like all of a sudden it's like good to go again.
Fallout. Everybody liked that.
There we go. So hey, thank you again, RJ. Mike, Brian, really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. Let us know if it's a little more work to set it up this way, but for the ones where we have multiple people, I kind of like having this camera thing. It's kind of fun. You can tell whose voice is coming from what. Isn't that a great thing? So let us know what you think about that, and we'll see you next time for GameStop Part 5 probably. Thank you.